All right, so what's going on, guys? It's BikerboyDee with Zamunda Profit Squad. And today, what we're going to be doing is a continuation of last week when we talked about hybrid timeframes and multi-time frame analysis. The reason I wanted to continue from last week is because we have multiple weekly hybrid timeframes opening up this week. I think this is a great opportunity to show you what you can do with that information and how it can help you with your thesis, your bias, and your overall trade and price targets. Okay. Um, so as we have discussed, it's pretty much all eyes on XLC right now. XLC has a lot of fire setups. There's a lot of tickers that have some fire setups. So I wanted to use that as my examples. I'm gonna start with XLC and then we'll look at a couple tickers. And you can pretty much see like how I look at things and my reasoning behind them and yeah, what to do with that information. So last week we talked about how to chart looking at higher time frames. Um just a small recap. I said that I start with the quarter, I look at my monthly, and then I look at the weekly and then a daily, and then I look at the hybrids within those time frames. Um, for a quarter and a month, I don't have to look at hybrids until a new month or a new quarter forms. So there will be no reason really for me to look at a 2 month if we're in the middle of a month. Um, but as the month starts to close, that's when I want to start looking at those upcoming months that may be opening. Um, so if we look at XLC, if we started with the quarter, right, we see that we are still inside quarter and we are coming off of the shooter for the quarter. Now, I noticed there was a resistance here, and we'll see that on a smaller time frame. But we are also creating like a almost like a double shooter. We'll see how that plays out. So first thing I want to do before I do anything is I want to mark the flip. I want to mark the open of the quarter. And that would be right here. Um, so the quarter and the month, and I'll write it both down for now. The quarter and the month, they share the same opening right now because they haven't uncoupled yet. Can anybody in their own words explain to me what uncoupling is as far as the month and the quarter? You could take yourself off mute or you could put it in the chat, whatever you want to do.
I guess, I mean, I can try to sum it in my own words. It's when your time frame, I guess, separates. So within a quarter, if you have 3 months, it's when that first month separates from the quarter. So say October, November, December. When October separates from that quarter, then that October is its own, say, entity or time frame outside of the quarter, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. That was beautifully said. That's exactly what it is. So as of right now, the month and the quarter are the exact same because we haven't had a second month to separate them. So if the quarter, if the month open is right here, and we said that the month and the quarter are the same right now because they haven't uncoupled, they're going to be doing the exact same thing. They're going to have the same exact setup or the same exact candle. They're going to have the same exact open because they haven't separated yet. So for here, I marked month and quarter flip, but once November comes, the month will have its own opening. It'll have its own separate flip. So as of right now, as this stand, this works. The month and the quarter, they flip red at the same exact spot. So I want to mark that. I also want to mark where the put entry for the shooter would be. So on the quarter, that would be the put entry to take it 2 down. Quarter put. And this would be the quarters PT. Now, what this does is this allows me to see if we go 2 down on a quarter, where is price ultimately trying to go according to the strat? We also talked about that The strat is it's a system and it works on all time frames. It's fractal. So whatever works on a daily, that setup should also work for a higher time frame. So with that being said, if we go 2 down on the quarter, ultimately price would be trying to get down here. Okay. So check, we have the quarter taken care of. Now I want to look at the month. As we can see, this month's low is 64.31. So the put entry for the month is the exact same for the put entry for the quarter. They share the same exact put entry. So if we go 2 down, for if any reason we go 2 down this month, it has the same exact put entry as the quarter. Now, that is significant because we've already gone 2 up on this month. So if we do go 2 down in this same month, that would make this an outside month. So that's very important to note that also. If we don't go outside month, if we don't hit this put entry this month, then the month will have its own put entry for November. So let's say it doesn't come back below this, this would be the put entry, and then this would be the price target, and we would adjust accordingly. So for right now, I'll just mark that they share the same put entry. And I like to see everything. I like to see everything that's going on, and it'll all make sense in a little bit. So this would be our monthly PT1. And you could put calls too. I'm just, to save time, I have a bias to the downside, so I'm just gonna stick with that. But you're more than likely to put a call entry up here and a call PT. I mostly do that for inside bars, but you're more than likely, you're more than welcome to do that. So boom, we took care of the month. So now I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna drill down to the week. Okay, boom, we have an inside week. So next week, we also have the week opening up, we have the 2 week opening up, the 3 week, the 6 week, and the 7 week. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to all of those time frames and mark out their entries and their price targets. And I also want to see if they have actionable signals on those time frames, strat actionable signals. So as we can clearly see, the weekly has a strat actionable signal, a 212. Rather that's to the upside or the downside, it has an actionable signal. So this would be our put entry for the week. Our weekly put entry, boom. And technically this would be this right here would be our first price target right here. Now, as you can see, that price target is 1 cent away. So if we trigger puts, we are very, very likely to hit our first price target very quickly. It's 1 penny away. There should be no reason. And actually, if we trigger 2 down, it will hit the PT1, because if we just get to 66.47, that'll still be inside. You have to be 1 cent less for puts and 1 cent more for calls. So if we trigger 2 down, we've already hit our weekly PT1. So that inclines me to believe that we may possibly hit our PT2. So I'm going to put weekly PT2 down here. And I'm going to do the same thing for calls, just because it's an inside candle. So this is weekly calls, and this is weekly PT1. Okay. So boom. So we also, right as of right now, we have a 2-1 possible, well, it has to be a 2-1-2, or we have to break to either side unless we stay inside again, which I think that's very unlikely, but it's possible. So as of right now, we have a possible 2-1-2 setup on the weekly. So now I want to go to the 2 week because that also opens. Okay, for the 2 week, we have a possible 2-2. As you can see, we have a possible 2-2 rev to the downside. So the entry for the 2-week, the put entry for the 2-week is also the price target for the 1-week. So now we have two time frames that they coincide with each other. So what I like to do is I'm going to add that to the same list so I know. So the weekly PT1 is also the 2-week put entry. So I know they're synonymous. Okay. So that means our price target would be down here. And it looks like this low is 64.31. So our 2-week put entry, the price target for the 2-week is also the month and the quarter's put entry. So I'm also going to add that. That is the 2-week price target. So as of right now, what this means is if we trigger a 2 down on the week, we will also trigger 2 down on the 2-week. And the price target for the 2-week is also the put entry for the month and the quarter, right? So all of those things sounds very bearish, correct? So I like to think in if-then statements. If we trigger 2 down, then we'll trigger the 2-week. And then if we reach our price target for the 2-week, that will also trigger the put entry for the month and the quarter, which is a higher time frame. And that's what tells you where price is trying to go. So if we trigger the month and the quarter, the month's price target is down here, and the quarter's price target is down here. If it's an successful strat actionable signal, if it reaches its target, that's exactly what it will do. So in relation for the price triggering 2 down and reaching its weekly price target down here, or its 2-week PT1, let me go back to a weekly time frame. So if we go 2-1-2 on the week and we reach this price target right here successfully, we reach this price target, can you guys in the chat tell me what is significant? As of right now, we have almost full time frame continuity. We have a green month, a green quarter, and a green year. What would be significant if we reach our weekly price target 2 and our weekly PT1? Because we can hit this one first and hit this. But if we just hit our weekly PT2, what is significant about that? What would that do? Okay, we have one answer. I'll let you guys answer. Yes, you got it. You guys got it. So if we trigger 2 down and we successfully hit our price target, we cross over our monthly and quarter flip. So that means now that the week would be red, the month would be red, the quarter would be red, and most probable that the day would be red too if it went down there. But we would have full time frame continuity to the downside. The only thing that we wouldn't have flip is the year, and the year is such a large sample size, especially us being at the end of the year right now. I wouldn't worry about flipping the year red, because as you can see, we've been running up all year. So if I had to guess, the open would be somewhere over here. It's right here. Yeah, this is the open of the year. I can guarantee you that we will not flip the year red in 2 months. That's very unlikely. I would love for that to happen, but that's very unlikely. So I wouldn't worry about the year so much. But we would flip the month and the quarter red. So now we have a higher probability that our thesis is correct, that we are trying to hit these price targets on the higher time frame. Okay. So we have the 2-week. We're looking for the 2-2 rev on the 2-week to reach this price target. we also have the 3-week opening up. So for the 3-week, the actionable signal would be a 3-2-2 rev. So the put entry for this 2 up, 2 down would be the same level as the second week's price target. I'm sorry, the weekly's PT2. So I'm going to add that also. So this would be the 3-week put entry. And once again, it shares that same PT as the 2-week, and it also shares the same level of the month and quarter put entry. So I'm going to add that also. Now, this will all make sense, how to put everything together. I'm just giving you the puzzle pieces to it, but it'll all make sense how to stack these things together and how to come up with the analysis for this. So next we have the 6-week opening up. And I'm still going to look at the 4-week too, just to see, you know, what's happening, what candle is forming for the 4-week. The 4-week doesn't open until November 6th. I still want to keep that in mind. But as of right now, it's setting up for a 3-2-2. I like to look at candle development and see how it's forming. So as of right now, as we stand, we're setting up for a 3-2-2. So I'll note that, but I'm not going to mark that until that candle closes. Same for the 5-week. It's setting up for a 2-2 rev, same thing. So we have the 6-week opening, and the 6-week has already triggered 2 down. So it already went down for a 2-1-2 rev to the downside. Now it didn't go in force, it triggered, and then it immediately came back up. So for this, I'm going to mark, this would be, what is the low? 31. So this also shares the same put entry as the month and the quarter. It has the same exact put entry. So I'm going to mark that. 6-week put entry. And the price target for the 6-week would be right here. Go back in and edit that. Okay, boom. So we have that. This wouldn't be a strat actionable signal. It will be a 2-2 continuation, but we have all of these other time frames that is stacked with it, which makes me comfortable to play that. And I do play 2-2 continuations, because for me it's all context. So if we go, since we went 2 down, but we retraced immediately, I'm comfortable with playing that 2-2 continuation. So let's look at a 7-week. And once again, we have the same put entry. So I'm going to add that. And the price target is right here for the 7-week. Okay. So now what we've done, I'm going to recap that. We started with our weekly actionable signal for a 2-1-2 to the downside. That price target triggers the 2-week put entry with a price target down here. That also flips full time frame continuity to the downside minus the year. If we hit this price target, that also triggers the 3-week put entry. The 3 weeks put entry, the 3 weeks price target triggers the 6, the 7-week, the month, and the quarter. Okay. So this seems like a pretty significant level, huh? This is a pretty significant level where it has all these time frames either being the price target or the put entry for more downside. Now, if we trigger the month and the quarter, also the 6 week and the 7 week, we have our 6 week price target here, our monthly price target here, our 7 week price target here. Now, what this allows you to do is to see where price could potentially go. Now you have price targets, now you have levels, now you have different participation groups in agreement saying where they think price is going. So it's almost like a checklist. Like, oh, you reached your price target here, 3 week, y'all step up. Let's see what y'all think. Oh, you reached your price target? Okay, monthly and quarter. Let's see what y'all think. Oh, y'all want to take it down here too? So you have like a checklist. It's just like boom, 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 boom. And when you have this one doesn't have that many price targets that's very close, but when you have a weekly very close to another time frame, or any time frame in alignment with another higher time frame, and the price targets are very close together, that's how you trigger it's called a trigger machine gun. That's how you activate that. One thing triggers the next. So the week triggers the 2 week, the 2 week triggers the 3 week, the 3 week, and they're very close price targets. This is a little more spaced out, but hopefully I can find some examples where it's very close and they just all trigger at the same time. Okay. So as far as that, do we have any questions or anything that you want me to go over or any reasoning on what was just said? Or are we good?
We're good. I was close to what you have, so I was pretty excited about that.
Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. What was off, if you don't mind me asking?
Not that it was off. I didn't go through as many time frames. I had a checklist of what I went through matched what you did.
Okay,
I
perfect,
just need to go further. But it's really making sense.
perfect, perfect. I'm glad it is. So you don't and you don't have this is not necessary, but for me, I'm a person, I like to have as much information as possible, and I rather do it now so I can see the potential of the play versus in real time, and I have to go back and try to figure out what happened. Now I have a roadmap literally laid out for me. I have a game, I can game plan from this. I have a foundation on what I'm looking for, so that's my start. Okay.
And because it's a sector, it's given us more insight into the individual stocks in that sector as
E-
well.
Exactly, exactly. And if you guys watch the class we had on charting, I mentioned that I start with when before I even look at a ticker, I start with the sector. And what I'm looking for is I see what the sector is preparing to do, and then I look for individual tickers that have, if not an identical setup, the same theme. They have they're doing the same thing as the sector. The sector's pointing down, the ticker's pointing down. Now, if they have the same exact setup, even better. That gives me I like it even more. Okay, so moving on. So now what I want to do is I want to go to the daily. Oh, I shouldn't have did that on that one. I want to do it on this one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the daily, and I'm going to let market structure pretty much tell me what's going on. So first thing I noticed is we have a successful 212. This was the actionable signal. It reached this price target right here, and then it reached a second price target. So for me, we put in a lower high right here, and this could be the start of this is the start of a structure shift, of a downtrend. So now we're trending down as of right now, looking at the daily. So with knowing that, I know this was the target that it was trying to sweep ultimately. This was the previous low, and as I discussed before, once you take out that low, you make a new low, and that would be similar to the bottom of a broadening formation. So it's possible that once we trigger 2 down, that we just run all the way through. That's very possible. I think it's more likely that since we took out this low, that maybe we come down a little bit and then we retrace one more time, and then that's the real move. So usually it kind of looks something like this. It'll come down, go up, it takes out this low right here, and then it may come down to like maybe right here, trapping the shorts, and then it may come back up and retrace, and then the real move happens. That's not to say that that happens every time, but just from watching charts, that's usually what I see how it plays out. So I want to be monitoring this on the daily. How is this shaping out on the daily? Is it giving me an actionable signal on the daily? Um, let's say it goes 2 down and it goes 2 down again, which trigger puts for the weekly and the 2 week. What if it gives me a hammer off of that 2 down? Then I want to, hypothetically, then I want to, I want to bring out some fibs and I want to say like, okay, where could it possibly reverse from if it gave me a hammer right here? And then maybe for a couple days it goes up and it gives me a 2-1 or a shooter or some type of reversal candle for me to take it back down. That's important. Like when you're swinging, that's why they say like grab starter contracts. And when I swing, I notice like I'm almost always down 30%. I'm not gonna lie. I'm almost always down 30% until the move is made. And that's because yeah, we triggered, but it usually retraces a little bit or it plays around that level before it makes the real move. Uh Most of my swings haven't just, took off right away and never looked back. I will wish that happens every time, but you know, I still have to consider market structure. Usually it plays out that it retraces a little bit. So that allows you to grab a starter position. And then if when it retraces, if it gives you an actionable signal that it's going to keep going back down, that allows you to either buy at a cheaper price and ride the wave down, or you can buy as it triggers that second time and add more into your position. You can start scaling into your position, keeping market structure in mind on a daily time frame. Okay. So now I want to look at the different days and see when they open throughout the week and see what actionable signals they give me. So we have the day, we have the 2 day. The 2 day already went 2 down, hit its price target. We can be looking for a 2 continuation. I'm not going to mark these because they open on various days, but as the week go on, I will be marking those when those different time frames open. So we have the 3 day. The 3 day is coming off of a double inside 2 down. So this could be this could just go straight down. It's very possible that it just goes straight down. So now we have some context. On a 3 day, we had a double inside that triggered 2 down. It hit its price target, and we know that this is a very powerful actionable signal. So this could just blow through all of the. It may not retrace at all. We have to see how it plays out, but that's what you want to be looking for. You want to be looking for if it does retrace. But a double inside represents a lot of consolidation. So pretty much it consolidated for 6 days within this range of this bar right here. And we're finally breaking through. So that's something to look out for and see how that plays out. We're going to look at a 4 day. 4 day, same thing, 212, hit his target. 5 day, same thing, 212, hit his target. And when does the 7 day open? Why does it say the 16th? Okay, so the 7 day opens on Monday. I don't know why it's saying the 16th right here, but the 7 day actually opens on this coming up Monday. So that is another actionable signal for the 7 day, a 212, which shares the same entry as our weekly PT1 and our 2 week put entry. It's the same one. So I'm actually going to add the 7 day. So 7D. And the 7 day has the same price target as the weekly PT2. How do I want to write that? 7-day PT1. And actually what I can do is I can take off the weekly PT2 just so I can keep everything one. Because we already have our weekly PT1. So now we know this is our 7-day PT1. Okay. So now we have all of these time frames pointing to the downside. Now, if we're wrong, because all I did right now is I just created a bias. I said that I'm bearish on XLC. I said that because that is what the higher time frames are telling me. Now, I could be wrong. That's very true. But looking at the higher time frames, they are showing me that they want to take this thing down. And if they do take this down, it could be a very strong move because this could be a possible PMG to the downside. This could be a very, very explosive move. As you can see, we ran up all of these candles. So there are stop losses, sell stops below each of these candles. So below this one, 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 we could be looking at a very strong move that just takes all of these people out, something like that. It hits all our price targets very aggressively, and it takes out all of these stops underneath this. And this would be an example of a PMG, a pivot machine gun. Just takes out all these stops. Boom, 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 very rapidly.
I have a question.
Yes.
Because Meta is one of the stocks in this and they have earnings, would that affect this week?
Absolutely, it can. So since it has such weighted, it's highly weighted in that sector, it most certainly can. The other tickers may follow that also. So Meta, I always believe that the setup, like, so a catalyst is supposed to override what's going on with the market, right? If we get news of something, that usually shifts the market. But I believe that the setup kind of gives you like a hint of what's about to happen. So the setup right now is pointing to the downside, right? Let's say Meta has bad earnings or whatever the case may be. There's a catalyst that drives the setup. So we know that price is trying to get down here. Like price is trying to hit all of these PT1s. That is our thesis as of right now. Now it's the how are they going to do it? Are they going to use earnings to make that move happen? Like what is going to drive price down here? Because I see a PMG happening very soon. Now if it plays around a little bit before it happens, I don't know. But this is set to me. This is setting up for a PMG to the downside. And I think they may use the catalyst to actually make it happen. Okay, does that answer your question?
Absolutely.
Somebody asks, is it listed somewhere on TradingView what sector a ticker is in, so I don't have to Google it all the time? Some of these companies, it isn't as obvious what sector they belong to. Yes, the answer. So on TradingView, I'm not familiar if there is, but there is a website called Sector Spider or sectorspdr.com. And actually we can take a look at that. Let me move this zoom out the way. Great question, by the way. Sector. Oh, what's happening? PDR.com. And you guys can still see my screen, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So yes, this is all of the sectors right here. And what you can do is move this out the way. What you can do is you can click a sector. You can go to the sector ETFs. And let's say I want to see what's in XLC. You can go scroll down to holdings and it'll tell you the holdings within XLC or whatever sector you're looking at. You can look at it by index weight. And for some reason it's not letting me, it usually has an arrow right here where you can look at it from lowest to highest or highest to lowest or however you want to categorize them. But as it's set up right now, it's the highest weighted to the lowest weighted. So you see we have Meta, Google, AT&T, Charter Communications, Walt Disney. If you want to see what a ticker, what sector it's in, you could just come up here and search. So let's say we didn't know what Meta was in. We could just search Meta. What is going on? Meta. Okay, it doesn't want to let me be great. Let's see, Tesla. Maybe they're cited, maybe they're working on their site. But what usually happens is you search a ticker and it'll pop up. It'll show you what sector it's in. I don't know why it's not working for me, but that's usually how that works. And you can track how that sector is performing too. You can go here and see, how are they doing today? How are they doing in the trading week? What sectors are leading the week? What sectors are leading or doing bad on the month? And everything looks pretty bad right now. How are we doing on a 3-month? And this way it can allow you to follow the money where it's flowing in and where it's flowing out. So if we see like, oh, XLY is doing bad, what's in XLY? TJX, Lulu, Ross, and we can start, yeah, here it is. Now it's doing it. We can start looking at setups and charts on these specific tickers. So that's one way you could do it. As far as trading view, I am not sure if it has that feature or not, but I go to sector SPDR, and I'm gonna try one more time because I don't know what that's about. Oh, won't let me be great, whatever. But maybe if you try it, later today, it'll work, but it usually works for me. And thank you, Ali, for dropping that in the chat. Yep, sector SPDR. So boom. So now we have XLC charted. We have a bias to where we think it's going, although we do play both sides. I have based off the higher time frames, this is showing me that it looks like we want to take this to the downside. So we have a game plan. Okay. Any questions on that so far? Sal also posted a master sector list in the Discord. Yes. Thank you for that, Anna. And that's how I have literally Sector Spider is how I have my list over here categorized. I literally I have every sector in alphabetical order, and then I have every holding in index weight from largest to smallest. So I just literally went down sector SPDR, went to the sector, and I put down the largest holdings. I don't think Netflix is down there, but hey, maybe that was a mistake. But yeah, that's something you can do. You don't have to be that meticulous about it, but this helps you look at tickers within a sector very quickly. If I want to go to XLF, I can just see what's in XLF and just see what charts give me a setup. So that's what works for me, and I have them color coded also. Staying organized is the name of the game, and I'm not the best at it, but I try. Okay. So any questions on that so far? If not, we will move on. Okay, perfect. So now I want to look at Google. I want us to chart Google together, and then we will chart Meta together. And we can see what we see. And let me check the chat one more time before I move on. Okay. So, you guys know the drill. Starting with the 3 month. We can't chart this candle right here because this is an active candle. The 3 month is still open. But what we can do is we can say, hey, we already triggered 2 up. And as of right now, we're showing signs of a shooter. We have to watch how this quarter closes out, but we are showing signs of a shooter and possibly to go outside quarter if it continues to fall. So we're not going to chart that. It already went 2 up, but we will keep that in mind. But one thing we will do is we will mark the open. So we know when will this flip the time frame red. So we're going to do quarter flip. And for teaching purposes, I will also write monthly flip. If you do the quarter flip and the monthly flip together, just don't forget to, once a new month opens, to adjust that. Whatever the new month is, they will have their own different flip points. So just don't forget to adjust that so you're not thinking like, hey, this flips the month red or whatever. You have to come back in and adjust that later. So for the month, same thing. We went 2 up on the month. The only other thing we can do is go outside. We already went 2 up. So the only other possible thing to do is go outside. We'll keep that in mind, but I'm not going to chart that. Actually, that is a lie. We're going to chart as of right now. So what we're going to chart is we went 2 up. That means that the price target should have been right here for the quarter. The quarter's price target should be right here. So we want to see if it reaches its price target. As of right now, it's failing. So this would be considered a fail too. If it doesn't reach its price target, that would be considered a fail too. So we're gonna keep that in mind. And then the price target for the downside would be right here. This would be the quarter put entry if we go outside. And this would be the quarter's price target. Okay. Same thing on the month. This would be the month's price target. I mean, the month's put entry to go outside. Month put. And this would be the month's PT1. Right. Sure. Month PT1. All right, let me check my work before I move on, make sure I didn't do anything wrong. We already triggered the quarter up, so I'm not worried about putting the call entry. So boom, month put, month PT1, quarter put, quarter PT1. Okay. Perfect. So now, and let's just scroll through the different months and see what they're showing us. So the 2 month is still 2 up with the long wick at the bottom. That could change. And the 3 month is obviously still the quarter. So in the 6 month, we still have a pretty bearish bar that triggered 2 up. So I'll keep that in mind, but I know what these time frames are also telling me. The 6 month and a year is a big sample size. So, okay, so now we're going to go to our week. Now the week already triggered 2 down. So for the week, we'll be looking for a 2-2 continuation to the downside. We already triggered 2 down. It did not go in force, but it may do that next week. This is a big range right here. So it's possible that it'll go 2 down on the week next week. So I want to annotate that. This is the week put entry. And I'm also going to put 2-2 continuation for the week. So I know it wasn't an actionable signal, it's a continuation. And for the price target is right here. This is the week price target. And once again, if we hit our price target, we will flip the month and the quarter red. So we'll have our sector, which would have, we always want to monitor our sector and see what the sector is doing when we're in these plays. If the sector turns red also, or it starts off red and then Google and Meta and so on and so forth follows, that's even more confirmation that we're going to the downside, because most times a ticker isn't going to outweigh the sector. The sector is usually going to tell you where price is going. So if we have a sector saying that we're going, if we're bearish on a sector, more than likely the tickers within that sector are going to follow. So if we hit our price target, we'll turn the month and the quarter red. And now we're going to look at the 2 week. So the 2 week does have an actionable signal. And this is why it's very important to look at hybrid time frames. If you only looked at the week, and let's say one of your rules is you don't play 2-2 continuations, because that is some strat traders rules. They do not play 2-2 continuations. I don't fault them for that. But I also want to say, open your eyes a little bit. Don't be so tunnel vision. The week has a 2-2 continuation, but the 2 week has an actionable signal. A 2-2 rev shooter, that is an actionable signal to the downside. And it's the same exact level. So we're going to mark that too. And at that point, since I see an actionable signal, I'm just going to take this away, because I know there is an actionable signal there. That's kind of how I let myself know, like, hey, is this a continuation, or is this an actionable signal somewhere? So this, as of right now, this is the week and the 2 week put entry. And the price target for the 2 week is the month's put entry down here. So this would also be the 2 week PT1. Boom. Okay. Now we want to look at the 3 week. Same thing. We have an actionable signal on the 3 week. So if the week hits its price target, that will trigger the 3 week to go do its thing. It's like a baton. It's like the week does this thing, hand that thing off to the 2 week. The 2 week does this thing, hand that thing off to the 3 week or the 4 week or whatever other time frames. They're just, it's like a 4x4. They just handing it off, or 4x1. They're just handing it off. They just keep handing that thing off to the next participant group on a higher time frame. One triggers the other, that one triggers the other triggers the other, and we know that the ultimate goal is first right here. And then if that triggers the quarter, then this is the ultimate goal. So the smaller time frames are just handing off the baton to the higher time frames to keep the race going. Okay. And that's why I like having 4 screens up, because I can keep that in mind. If I look at the monthly right here or the quarterly right here, it doesn't say too much. But when I factor in those smaller time frames, like, hey, the week is trying to do this, and that's trying to do this for the 2 week, and this is trying to do this for the 4 week. It always kind of keeps me, it helps keep you in check with what's going on in relation to the big picture. Now, if this is too much for somebody, like, yo, this is too much for me to have on my charts or understand or whatever, I get that. I understand. You can just, play it as you see it. But when it comes to charting, I like to stay organized, and I like to not have to think. This allows me to not think. I know exactly what's going to happen. And when I'm looking on this on a daily time frame or a smaller time frame, I can see what we're approaching in real time. Like, hey, we're about to approach the 2 week put entry. Let's get ready for that. So either I want to be a participant in that higher time frame group. Maybe now I want to swing for 2 to 4 weeks. Or if I'm only looking for that price target, the weekly price target, I know that the 2 weeks price target is down here. So it has to pass my price target to get down there. That gives me extra confidence that my price target, me being a weekly participant or a daily participant, it gives me that extra confidence that I know that the higher time frames are trying to take it even past where I want to take it. So this is high probability. Okay. So the 3 week is setting up for, it could be a possibility for a 2-2 rev. So I want to mark that also. Weekly PT1 is also the 3-week put entry. And that price target is the month's put entry and also the 2 weeks put entry. So they share the same exact put entry. The 2 week and the 3 week. I mean, I'm sorry, the same exact price target. The month's put entry is also the 2 and the 3 weeks price target. Okay, so now we have the 6 week opening up. The 6 week is also setting up for a 2-2 rev. So same exact scenario. This one level is just doing it, just want to do God's work. The same level is very significant. So this would be the 6 week and the month's put entry. And the 6 weeks price target would be the same as the month's price target. Boom. Took care of the 6 week. And finally, we have the 7 week. Same exact thing. 6 week shares the 7 week, which shares the month. All pointing down. And the 7 weeks price target would be right here. So now you got options. How do you want to play it? Do you want to be a long-term swinger? Do you want to, how do you want to play it? Do you just want to get your in and outs on a daily time frame or on a weekly time frame? You just want to get your coins and keep moving? Or do you want to say like, hey, I can sit in this trade for 2 months. I can sit in this trade for 4 months and not even, I can just monitor my trades on a daily time frame, see how it's doing and go live my life. Now you have options because you see the possibilities of what the chart can be setting up to do. So if this happens, you see this can happen, this can happen, this can happen. And you just have to trust in the setup that it'll get where it needs to go. Okay. So now we have our weeks taken care of. So now I want to go to the daily and see what the market structure is looking like. So we were trending up. We broke trend, first of all. We broke trend, and that's not the right tool. We broke trend. Right here, we put in a lower high, and we also took out this low right here. I'll get rid of the trend line so you can see it. We put in a lower swing high. We took out this swing low right here, trending down. So this is the beginning of a downtrend. Once again, we may retrace one more time before coming back down, but this is the beginning stages of a downtrend. This is like this is the quickest you can catch a downtrend. When you see those strong trend moves and you're like, dang, I would have loved to catch that at the top, or I'd have loved to catch that at the bottom. This is literally you catching it at the top. So yes, we want to look at our daily triggers. So we have 212 that was successful. It hit all its targets. It hit multiple targets actually. And let's look at a 2-day. So we had a 2-2 rev hit its target. A 212 hit its target. We haven't had a failed candle yet. 212 hit its target. No failed candles so far. Let's keep it up. 2-2, and this still could hit its target. This next candle doesn't open until Thursday. So this candle's still live. It could possibly hit its target. We won't rule that out yet. And then for the 7-day, we have an actionable signal for the 7-day, a 212. The 7-day opens up on Monday. So we want to mark that. I don't know why. What is the low of this? The low of this candle is 135.08. It's the same as this candle right here. It's the same as this level right here. So we're going to mark that also. 7-day. And the 7 days price target is right here. Okay. So now if you don't believe that we may get down here and you just want to get out right here, you have a price target. You don't have to, if you don't think that we go get all the way down here, you have a price target ahead of time that you can take your money and run if that's what you choose to do. As you can see, we are at the top of a broad information also. Um, I believe that it's exhausted. So go back to the daily. Yes, this would be a broad information top, and we're starting to make lower highs. So I think this is setting up to go to the downside. So once again, y'all know I like my path tool. I'm gonna draw it out. We got a trend up. We had a retracement. This was a retracement. We failed to take out this high right here. And let me move this out the way. We failed to take out this previous high to confirm the uptrend. We put in a swing, another swing high that was lower than this one. And then we took out this low right here. So this is the signs of a downtrend. Now what we're looking for is it to go down. More than likely, it'll probably, maybe it hits its price target here and maybe it comes up and then flushes or something like that. That would be ideal. That's what you're looking for. Now, if it just flushes straight down, hey, it's possible. It can happen. I don't doubt it at all. Especially with earnings coming up on Tuesday. It may not even let us get in for this, for us to be part of that move. We have to see how it plays out. But yeah, that's my analysis on Google, and that's how I would approach it. That's how I would look at it. Do we
Was
have
that drawing you just had also a TTO, or did I see that wrong?
Nope, you seen it right. That was exactly what it was. And that's why I like using the drawing, because you can see TTOs easier. So that was the low, that was the swing low right here. This put in a swing high, and this is a successful TTO right there.
Nice.
Yep. And sometimes, like, if you don't want to, I'm a very visual person. So if you want to see a TTO, one thing you can do, or like help you visualize it, you can go to your candles and just go to lines, and you can see them. TTO, TTO, TTO.
Oh, wow.
This one took out that low. Oh, signs of a reversal. Like, you can see it a little better. And you can go back to your candles and, try to make sense of it. But eventually your eyes will be trained to see them. You won't have to second guess. Your eyes will be trained to see them. So any questions on that so far? Did anything not make sense of what our game plan would be if we were trying to map this out? Any questions at all? I'll open the floor up to that.
No, it's for me, it's so clear.
Okay. Well, I'm glad it is. I'm glad that's good to hear.
It's like all the pieces begin to, like you said, come together.
It's a great feeling, ain't it? It's a crazy
It is awesome.
It's even crazier once you watch it play out. Like what I'll do is, like, I have screenshots of when I literally pull my path tool out. I'll say what I think is gonna happen. I'll screenshot it and I'll go back and I'm like, wow, like it played out to a T. Um,
Where
one
your confidence, your plays come in, correct?
Yes, yes, yes. Exactly. And then you guys know I love my fibs. So I also use that for Confluence too. So I will pull my fib out right here and see, like, hey, where did that thing possibly reject out from? From this high to this low. Where did it reject out from? Um, if it starts trending down and it starts giving me a reversal candle right here, as such as a hammer or a swing low right here, then I would, pull my fib out. Let's just say it ends up right. I got to take my magnet off. Let's say it ends up like right here. I want to see where where would that um where would that retracement be? What area? I would be looking to add into my position or get into my position somewhere along these lines right here, to take it back down. And my normal fibs, when I'm looking for entry like that, it looks like this, because I know this is the area of interest that I want to see something happen. I want to see this go back to the downside. I want to see a shooter. I want to see an inside candle. I want to see some type of indication that we will be going to the downside. One thing I learned, actually we'll cover that later. I don't want to, yeah, that's not relevant. We'll cover that at a later time. So yeah, that's what I would be looking for. You guys heard it here first. You've seen it first. So boom. We have Google charted. And we could chart Meta. We've been on here about an hour. I think you guys get it, but if you need extra, like if you want to see it one more time, you can let me know. I'm more than happy to chart Meta with you guys. I also want you guys to do your homework this weekend and find tickers within the sector that you like and give analysis on what you're seeing, what you're looking for happen, what do you think will happen. It's okay to give a bias. I know a lot of people say you shouldn't have a bias. I personally, I think it's okay to have a bias. That's got me saved from not getting clapped a lot of times, just having a bias, because those higher time frames are showing me what's happening. So I'm having, if I have a shooter on a monthly candle, I got a bias, and that's okay. So do you guys want to see Meta, or are you good on that? Let me know. And not just one person answer. Let me know. I don't want to leave anybody behind.
I'm good in doing it myself.
Okay. Anybody else need extra help? Same here. Anybody? Please speak up if you want to see it again or you need extra help, please speak up. I am begging you. I'm good. Hey, I must be getting good at this thing, man. Y'all y'all smart.
You just do really well in breaking things down.
I appreciate that. So one thing I do want to put in perspective for you guys when it comes to dealing with the higher time frames, right? This is going to be like a little recap. So the higher time frames will tell you where price is going. Even when you can't see it on a daily time frame or a smaller time frame, the higher time frames will start to show signs of where price could possibly go. I want you to think of it like this. Like, let's say you work for a corporation, right? Or you work for a corporation, and they brought all of the workers into, they had a big meeting, a mass meeting, and they started with the employees, and they said, okay, we're going to do a poll, or raise your hand if you think in the next year we're going to be growing or we're going to be declining, right? They say, raise your hand if you think we're going to have growth in the next 2 years. Let's say 2 years. We're going to have growth in the next 2 years. And then employees, they're like, I think we're doing pretty good. Everybody, they do their job well, and it seems like, everything is good. So most of the employees raise their hand for, they think they're going to have growth, right? So we're going to look at the employees as like the daily participants. They're the smaller group. They hold the less weight. Those will be like our daily participants, right? And then let's say, okay, they're going to ask the managers, what do you guys think? And the manager's like, I think we're doing pretty well. We could use some room for improvement, but I think overall we're doing pretty well, right? We're going to look at the managers as like the week and the 2 week candles, right? And then they ask the manager's supervisor, and then the supervisors, they're like, we're doing okay. I think it's fine. It's decent, but I think we could possibly have some downside, but I don't know. I don't know. Who am I? I don't know. We're gonna look at those guys as like the 3 week and the 4 weeks, right? I'm trying to paint a picture in your head. And then they ask like the CFO of the company. The CFO is there, and they ask him, how do you think we're gonna be in the next 2 years? And the CFO is like, I don't know, man. Like this, I don't know. We could possibly slide. Like, I don't know. We'll have to see. Right. So what that's going to do is the daily participants are going to be looking like, wait, what you mean you don't know? You're going to start getting suspicious. You're going to start, that might be your first indication that things might not be as good as you thought they were. Right. And then they get to, so we're gonna say this, the CFO is like your monthly and your 2-month candles. And then they get to the CFO. And then the CFO is like, it's not look, you know, it's probably we could recover, but it's not looking too good for the next 2 years. And you know, I have high hopes that we'll recover, but it's not looking too good, right? We'll look at that as the 4 and 8th month candle. And I hope I ain't losing nobody with this. And then they ask the founder, like, well, what do you think? You know, you're the founder of the company. What do you think? And he like, nah, like ain't happening. Like we're fucked. So you as a daily participant or you as an employee, you hear that, you're gonna have that, that's pretty much like your indication that things aren't going as well as you thought they were. And you're gonna see that on the higher time frames. If the founder says that, that would be like your yearly candle. Like if we go 2 down on a year, you know, we'll watch it play out like that. But yeah, that's pretty much how the candles work. Like the daily holds weight, but when you look at those higher time frames, you don't really care what your manager thinks. You don't really care what your supervisor thinks. You care more, but if a CFO says something, you're gonna listen to that. If a CEO says something, if the founder tells you, you know, this ain't looking good at all, I will consider somewhere else. Like you are gonna hold more weight to what he said versus your supervisor saying that. Okay, that's the way to look at these higher time frames. The higher time frames are literally giving you an indication on what's going to happen. If you look on Meta on the 3-month, you see this shooter candle on the 3-month. This was a clear indication of what was about to happen. Literally a clear indication. You mean to tell me that we had a shooter? We tried to push up at some point. This was a very healthy green bar going up. For whatever reason, it reversed and it came back down. And if we go 2 down, that confirms the shooter. Oh yeah, no. So we're in a similar situation right now. As of right now, we have a shooter on the quarter right now. If we confirm a shooter on this quarter and we go 2 down, then hey, you heard it first. You heard it first. So that's how I kind of want you guys to look at it. Those higher time frames are indication that that you know it might hit the fan very soon. And I pulled up, where is it at? I pulled up Peloton for reference. Let me move this out the way. I hate Zoom sometimes. Yeah, I use Peloton for reference. You know, if you were looking at Peloton on the daily time frame, this would be similar to my story that, you know, all the employees think everything is going good. And then, you know, you start getting wind from these higher time frames. We have some consolidation on those higher time frames. And then we had this very bearish candle on the 3-month. These are indications that we are about to slide. You look on a yearly, and that's exactly what happened. So yeah, these higher time frames hold the weight, they hold the keys to everything. That's something you always want to pay attention to, even if you're being a daily participant. Even if you say I don't need day trade, I think it's in your best interest to look at the higher time frames to see where price could possibly go. Okay. So if we don't have any other questions, I'm gonna wrap this up and let you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you guys for coming out. If you have any more questions, you know, hit the beginners chat. That's usually where I see questions the most. So hit the beginners chat, ask away. If you want to DM me, you can do that also. But once again, I appreciate you guys for coming out and enjoy the rest of your weekend.